And good to have you all. Hey, Doug, I don't see your face, but I see your name. Good to have you on. And Javier from Southern California, and all the rest of you beautiful people. Thanks for jumping on. I wanted to first make sure that you all spread the word that we are moving the, affectionately called Free Friday coaching call to once on the first and third weeks of the month. I don't know how many of you actually read the emails, but effective immediately. Today is the first Friday of August. The Friday coaching calls will be the first and third Fridays going forward. That's all. So if you have 5 Fridays, sometimes there'll be 3 weeks in between the calls, but most of the time there'll be 2 weeks in between the calls. And pretty excited about it because I think it'll allow us to bring better and more consistent content, excuse me, not contact. And I think we'll be able to help people more. It'll allow everybody a couple of weeks to decide or send in ideas about things that will help you personally to create the success you want in your business. I'm also pretty excited about the fact that we're in August, and I'll tell you why. August represents, starting August 1st, 5 months left in the year. And when months go by pretty quickly these days if you haven't paid attention to that. And suddenly you're approaching the end of the year, you're not really looking at your results and what you've done. You look back and say, well, I promised myself I'd be more consistent about this, that, or the other. And now you look back and you realize you haven't been consistent about this, that, or the other. And in all areas of your life, mating, consistency. I think the best story, for me as an individual, and I think I shared it with you guys, maybe I didn't, but my push-up thing that I started doing on January 1st of 2018, started doing push-ups. And if you've heard this story, I'm sorry I'm repeating, but it was really shocking to me what happened in that journey, that I had a goal for literally my whole life, because my brother that passed away was super athletic and buffed and everything, and he could do push-ups, sit-ups, pull-ups, and I could never do any of those things. And then my son, my oldest son, is like another one, like totally, his body looks like something out of a magazine. He jumps up and he does pull-ups and push-ups and sit-ups and all that stuff. So I started on January 1st, 2018, doing 20 push-ups a day. And April, and I could barely do 20 without stopping, right? I was doing 17 or 18, and then I'd finish the last 2. And then I was going to add 5 every month. So 20 in January, 25 in February, and so on and so forth. And that went all the way up until I was doing 150 a day. And I went from barely being able to do 20 without stopping to my record was I was able to do 80 without stopping, 80 push-ups. I was 62 years old at that time. And I was pretty proud of myself. My arms and shoulders and chest had transformed and was feeling pretty good about it. Never missed a day, whether I worked out or not. I never missed a day doing my push-ups. And then September of last year hit, and we took off on an RV trip, and suddenly I wasn't doing them anymore. And I don't know what happened or why, or it just disappeared. And I started back up in June of this year, and I could barely do 20 again. So it's like all the consistency and what I built up was gone. And that's such an analogy of our real estate business. If we're not doing anything consistently, then we're not going to build up anything sustainable that continues to pay us, that pays us dividends. And whether that is consistent communication, even just the simple act, like the one thing I know I'm really good at is if I get a listing lead, it's like a bone in a dog's mouth. I don't let go. I check with them all the time. Like I'd rather them yell at me and say, leave us the freak alone, than for some reason end up losing that listing lead to someone else, right? And by the way, when someone signs a listing agreement with someone else, it's too late, guys. You can't go back and say, "Oh, I'm sorry, I didn't contact you enough. Could you erase that listing agreement you just signed and let me have another chance?" It doesn't work. You see a sign in the lawn 2 doors down from where you live, whose fault's that? Yours, not theirs. It doesn't matter what you think about what you communicated with someone. It didn't work if they listed or worked with someone else. All right. Now, here's the other thing. Quit. I have to quit. I'm not pointing this at you, but I'm definitely pointing it at myself. I have to quit being or working on being someone else. All right. There's a guy on this call, I think he's on today, Rob Wolf from the Roseville, Sacramento, Granite Bay area. And he's just got this really aggressive and excited, and he really works his face well, and he's amazing. And I see him and I go, I got to be more like Rob, you know. And I can't be. Rob's taken. There's already one Rob, right? I don't get to be Rob Wolf.
Well, I want to be more like Rick. We'll be each other for Halloween.
Okay. We'll swap, yeah. So, but why do I say that? Because this comparison thing and this being others, I had a really great discussion with a gentleman the other day, and we kind of realized in the middle of the discussion that we were commiserating, right? We were talking about the same things that was going on in each of our lives. And I got to tell you guys, that conversation I had with that person was so moving for me personally. I don't know about how it was for him, but it really, we spoke for an hour, and we needed to speak for more, but our hour was up. I had already booked another appointment for 10:30, and I really wanted to keep talking because it was allowing me to see inside of me what some of the things I could be doing that I wasn't doing, and what I'm not doing that I'm preaching to others to do. So consistency is a big key. And the reason that I brought up that story, like I started back in June now, this time in June, I started with 40 push-ups a day, and July went to 45, and now we're in August, I'm at 50, and I'm not skipping ever again, like till the day I die. You know, I'm not going to ever go backwards on this. And then my wife sent out a text to several of her friends, and I was on the text, and it said something about the reason that it is important to do lunges and squats every day. And I'm like, what? And I read it, and you know what it said? Come on, guys, I'm almost 64. I'll be 64 in less than a month. And it said that the biggest problem with people as they age is if they fall, they're not able to get up, or if they're down on the ground, they can't get up. And that's why it's important to every single day do lunges and squats. So I immediately started doing 15 lunges on each leg every night right after my push-ups, and doing 20 squats. So that has, like, really, I'm like, oh my gosh, that's right. Like, it is tough to do those. And we had a friend visiting last night, and she said, that's it? You're just doing 15 on each leg? I'm like, bite me. That's plenty for me right now. Like, so now I'm thinking, okay, I'm wimping out, but if you do those one-legged lunges, like where you got one leg way in the back and one in the front, you just drop your knee up and down, those are tough. So again, what analogy did I have with doing those? The discomfort right before you're ready to do them, where you think it's time to do them because you're almost getting ready for bed. You could have done them all day long, but you wait till that last minute right before bed. And it's because it's uncomfortable to do them. I don't want to. And yet I know that if I don't get the results I seek. There was a saying many years ago, and I don't know who said it, but it says, the treasure you seek is in the cave you fear to enter. And I think about that pretty regularly. And it is one of the things I was asked to do a class recently on business planning for the mid-year. And it's one of my favorite things to do. I had told you guys that July 1st is the beginning of the second half of the year, and you should refresh your business plan and do it over. I'm going to share the business plan workbook with you in a minute. And I was pretty excited about the fact that somebody really wanted to hear about how do you refresh your business plan mid-year. And that is something that has continued to be an important thing for me. And even though I don't always take out the paper business plan workbook, whenever I get to around the last week of June, I like to examine what I've done in the first half and then decide how I'm going to go forward in the second half. But the reason I brought up August today, oh, did Joseph Campbell say that? That's cool. Who's the one who told me that? Marie. Thank you, Marie Wallace. Joseph Campbell is one of my favorite, I'm like some of my favorite quotes came from him. One of the ones that I like, by the way, just side note from Joseph Campbell, Marie Wallace, and the rest of you is, we must let go of the life we have planned so that we can enjoy the life that's waiting for us. So that is another big Joseph Campbell book. All right, so let's get back to this. Now I'm going to share my screen and show you guys the business plan workbook. And I'm going to tell you where to get your copy of the business plan workbook. So I'll show you where. I've shared with you all the RGT resources page. The RGT resources page has all kinds of great things on it. So just go to RGT resources, rgtresources.com. You see it up here. And then right here on all these are all attachments. And if you click right here on business plan workbook, there's a lot of things you can click on, but business plan workbook for sure this is the one I'm talking about. And as you look at this, this is Compliments of Workman Success Systems, the company I coach for. And as you look at this, these are the table of contents. And these first 5 to me are the most important. Now they're all important, but if you get through these 5, now why are these 5 important? Because these 5 represent the foundation of the business plan. And once you've done them, you can typically sometimes go a year or 2 or more without doing them. You will change your personal objectives, but your strategic plan is about a plan way out, coming backwards to today. What do things look like for me in 10 years, 5 years, 3 years, 1 year, 6 months? And you do a strategic plan that way. And I'll go through it really quickly here, but it is definitely time, guys, for us to, and I really want you to take a really good look at this, because yes, I will, yes, you will procrastinate. What I mean by that is you'll start to have the intent. If I had it my way, ladies and gentlemen, everybody would start to take a look at their business plan for 2022, which is for January 1st to December 31st in 2022, that they would all start to look at it in August, because it would start the juices flowing, the creative ideas coming up. What didn't I do this year that I will do next year? And then guess what? You have some runway to see if those things are effective by putting them into effect now. All right. A lot of you said you're going to start door knocking. A lot of you said I'm going to start using social media to create leads. Make conversations, get into your phones and just talk to people that you decide you want to talk to. Now, how are their leads to? Well, if you want to be a top listing agent, what are some of the ways you can become a better listing agent? Well, you could farm more. You could call FSBOs and expireds. You can, another thing that I like doing is I like knocking on the door of, not actual door knocking, but using mail and email to farm divorce attorneys and financial planners. Now, it's very easy to get lists of these, very easy. Just Google them, all right? Divorce attorney in my area, and get a list going, and you mail them once a month. And if you can, over a period of a couple of years, get out to coffee with them. And the way I've done that in the past is I say, look, this past year, I know we don't know each other, Tom. My name's Rick. I'm a real estate agent in the area. And I know that you are Tom, one of the top divorce attorneys in the area. Last year, I had 3 clients ask for advice who were getting a divorce. In 1 year, I had 3 clients ask for advice about the name of an attorney or how they could get some help. I've heard from people that I know that you're pretty good at this. And I was wondering, could we get together for a quick cup of coffee, my treat, so I can talk to you about what kind of service? Because I don't like to refer my clients to a divorce attorney unless I know they'll get well taken care of. Would you be open to that? And he'll go, open to what? I'll go, having coffee with me so I can talk about the possibility of sending 3 to 4 clients a year your way. Now, every time I've had that conversation, I've eventually gotten a yes. Not always the first call, but I've eventually gotten a yes. Now, why would I do that? Well, because divorce attorneys have the capability of giving you one referral that could turn into 2, 3, or 4 transactions. Believe me, I've had it happen. All right. They sell one, they buy one. Well, 4 transactions, I generally am able to get 2 to 3, meaning I list their home. That's one. And then one of the couple, sometimes the husband or the wife, will usually end up buying a house from me. And I've had it recently where we listed the home of the divorced couple and both the husband and wife bought homes from me, other homes, with the proceeds of the sale of their home. So it's not going to happen all that way all the time, but it is worth the effort. Now, what about financial planners? I like them to be a guest on my social media. Maybe I'll post a little something about them on a Facebook Live, and because I want to get this financial planner to refer me when his clients are talking about real estate. Now, I just did 2 transactions with a referral from a financial planner. 2, closed a listing, closed a sale as a result of that. Now, these are all things we can do. Again, I was talking to somebody about this, the whole discomfort level that we just talked about when it relates to push-ups, sit-ups, and all of that stuff. It's the discomfort of getting into the action of doing it when you're doing it. Oh yeah, I remember I was talking about when I used to door knock much younger, and all the way till a couple of years ago when I was door knocking, I still get a little nervous for the first 10 to 12 doors. But now I'm finding that the busier I am, the more I would prefer to maybe call a FSBO, call an expired, look at my database, talk to old listing leads. You'd be surprised if you go back 5 years, if you go back 5 years to check out expireds on your MLS, how many leads are back there that people have no idea how much their home has gone up in 5 years. So when you're doing like FSBOs or expireds, make sure that you are being value driven, those kinds of things. So when I talk to a FSBO, the first thing I say is, I want to make sure that you know my intent with getting to know you is to help you get your home sold, whether I find a buyer, one of my friends finds a buyer, or eventually you change your strategy. That's all I say is you change your strategy. I don't say eventually you list with me, right? But there's all kinds of ways to attack FSBOs, but one of my favorites is to drop off a packet, a sample packet. In California, there are, if you subtract the listing agreement paperwork, just the disclosure paperwork alone is somewhere between 96 and 102 pages. So if you print up you know what happens if you print them up off of our CAR zip forms, there's actually a watermark inside that says sample. Have any of you seen that? I mean, it's in there. So you could take this packet and go, by the way, these are the forms that are required by law in the state of California, whether you use a real estate agent or not. I just want to make sure you had them. Take care, have a great day, bye, right? And you leave and they start looking at this paperwork and their eyes are spinning. Doesn't always happen, but I've gotten tons of calls back when they go, what is all this stuff you left me? And I said, it's exactly what I said, sir. It's required by the state of California when you sell a home, whether you're using a real estate agent or not. Right? So there you go. All right. So let's look at this really quickly. This, I can't even tell you how tedious this will be. I'm being honest. And yet how life-changing it can be if you fill it out. This is the only business plan, watch my fingers, that I've ever used where it combines like that, business and life. I used to do business planning for Keller Williams. I used to do business plan. I've done Remax business planning clinics. I've done Coldwell Banker business planning clinics, Century 21, you name it, Berkshire Hathaway, Exit Realty, all of these companies. And their business plans are all very very good business plans. They're all about the numbers and stuff like this, but this is about combining the numbers and understanding what you create, how it will affect what's going on in your life also, not just your business. So the strategic plan is pretty simple. It's, in this case, for this booklet, it's 5 years, 1 year, and 6 months, but yours could be 20 years, 10 years, 5 years, 3 years, 1 year, whatever. But the two questions: what do I want to achieve in my business in 5 years? What do I want to achieve in my life in 5 years? And then it goes 1 year, and then it goes 6 months. This is about thinking ahead, right? What does the end of the movie look like as far as I'm concerned, you know? And then I can build after that. And then, of course, the last three questions of the strategic plan are the most important. How will I know I'm making progress? What's the biggest pain in my business right now? I'm going to ask and challenge you to see if you can find an answer for number 8 that doesn't involve the word consistency. All right. What is that one thing that doesn't involve the word consistency? And what's really going well for me in my business right now? A lot of times we don't give ourselves credit for what's going well. And, you know, this gentleman and I that were having the talk earlier in the week, I'll tell you, one thing that stands out for me is this man is super knowledgeable. Like, he could build a house from the bottom up with his bare hands, and he understands all of the business end of buying and selling homes, the financial part and all of it. And I don't think he gives himself enough credit for that. So what's really going well for me in my business, in this case for that gentleman, would have been my knowledge, my background, and communicating to people in a professional and business-like manner so that they understand the seriousness of this purchase or sale, that it is a serious and very heavily financially motivated transaction. So those are the things that I want you to consider on there. The personal objectives. Remember this, guys. Look at it. It says family, faith, fun, friends, fitness. And then I like to add finances down at the bottom. Print this up, write out finances at the bottom, because this is about your personal life. And when it says finances in your personal life, it's about, if I sell real estate and I pay my real estate expenses, board dues, MLS, car insurance, gas, everything I've got to pay. If I do all of that, I'm going to pay the money, and then there'll be some left over. So that finances that I'm talking about is, what are you doing on your personal side with the finances that are left over after you've paid all your money and your expenses? And that's the sort of, if you'll use the term, the net profit from selling real estate. So what will you do with those? It's very important that you do the personal objectives, and effective, it says, notice it says effective December 31st, 20 blank. So you'd say 2022. What's really nice about something that a lot of people, Javier, the link for what, sir? Javier?
For this plan, Rick, for this, the copy of this?
It's in RGT resources. So the email that you get, you just go to rgtresources.com, and everything's in there.
Excellent. Thank you.
Yeah. All right. So anyway, so the reason I say this is that it's important that you understand by the end of 2022, like, you know, what's going on in your family. But do you notice about this, guys, something about this? There are certain things here that have to do with others and certain things that have to do with you. Family has to do with others, you and your family. Faith, mostly you. What is your idea of faith, and what areas in the faith area do you want to improve? Or it could also be looked at, faith can also be looked at as contribution. Where am I giving back? It's up to you. I've had people ask me, does faith have to do with religion? I said, do you have faith in your wife? Yes, I have faith that my wife is a loving wife, those kinds of things. So faith isn't always about religion. It can be about contribution. It can be about whatever you decide faith is. Fun. Now, fun, right? Like, maybe under family, you said, oh, the family and I are going to go on a vacation or whatever like that. But fun is about what is fun for you personally. And I've used this example before, but my wife's not a big fan of Disneyland, and I am. All right. I could go around this whole screen of all you guys that are on this call today and say, how many of you are fans of Disneyland? And some of you would say it's mind-numbing, and some of you would say it's the most fun ever. So being able to do some fun things for yourself. I play basketball very early in the morning. I love it. And when it was gone for all that time during the pandemic. Every once in a while, I'd go out alone and shoot some baskets at a local high school, but still not the same as playing in a game with people you've played with for years. So what is your fun and what are you going to do with it? Friends, of course, what am I going to do with my friends? What's going to be different about my relationship with my friends and what I will do proactively? One of my goals for 2022 is to make time for priorities a little better than I have in 2020 and 2021. Certainly fitness is going to be a bigger role in 2022. And my finances are going to go to more selfish things that I want to do for me, like those, what's the money left over, you know, maybe a trip, maybe, whatever. So maybe even a new convertible, who knows? All right. So, and then of course, core values, there's 5 questions that help you determine whether your core values, I'm sorry, not about your core values, but there's, oh, did I pass core values? I'm sorry, let me stop right here. Core values. We have those, and those are the several things that, see right here, it gives you a way to do it. Put down words and phrases that describe the character traits you value most. You know, it might be punctuality, it might be honesty, it might be integrity, whatever they are, and write a lot of them down, and then determines what are going to be the core values of your real estate business. Because if you ever go to hire somebody, if you live, breathe, walk, and talk your core values, then that's the kind of person you'll attract. And when you're ready to hire somebody on your team, like an assistant or a buyer's agent, then you will be able to attract those kinds of people. Mission statement. The mission statement of the Rick G. Howe Real Estate Team is really simple. It's to improve the lives of all we serve. Now, knowing that that's the mission statement, you can go back and ask these 5 questions. And if improving the lives of all we serve answers all 5 of the questions, then you know you've hit on something that's good. My problem with this workbook right here is this example that they give for a mission statement. Do not use this example. It sucks. Okay, it's too long, it's too wordy, it's not memorizable, and there's no way in the world you can deliver that hot, right? My wife likes to say, when you have a great mission statement, you got to know it cold and deliver it hot, like it's almost like an elevator speech. So definitely want you to understand that. It took us years to come up with the mission statement of the Rick G. Howe Real Estate Team is to improve the lives of all we serve. So think about that when you're coming up. You can go on, actually, if you Google the words mission statements of large companies, you get all kinds of examples. So check it out. And then of course, the number 5 one is the SWOT analysis. This is huge. You should be doing this twice a year, ladies and gentlemen, figuring out what your strengths, weaknesses, opportunities, and threats are. And this is such a huge part. And we're going to probably re-examine this in November of this year, so that you will have it done before the end of November. Personally, you know, when I like it done, I like it done by the end of September, because I want the last quarter, which is October, November, December, I want to be ramping up towards, like, I want to hit the ground running in January so that I have closings in January, not just, oh, I started all these new things in January, so I'll have closings in February or March. No, there is nothing worse than a January with no closings. If you have a closing in January, when did you need to start? Typically October or November. Okay, usually what buyers you're dealing with in November that aren't in contract yet, you're going to get paid in January. And there's nothing worse than having Christmas bills from Christmas, and not having closings in January to pay them. Yeah, I see you laughing, Debbie. That's a big deal, right? Like, especially if you had kids, like, you know, when our kids were small, we spoiled the heck out of them. Then we got the bills in January. Like, what were we thinking? So strengths and weaknesses, by the way, guys, are things you control. Opportunities and threats are things you don't control. I want you to please make sure you get that right there. Strengths and weaknesses. I'm going to stop sharing for a minute. Strengths and weaknesses are things you control. Patience, punctuality, honesty, those kinds of things. What you don't control is acts of God, weather, inventory, interest rates, economies, the shift in the market. None of that is in your control. The reason, if you say, oh, wait, both opportunities and threats are things I don't control. Well, how do I determine if inventory is lack of inventory is an opportunity or a threat? Guess what? That goes to your mindset. That's it. just your mindset. Low inventory to a listing agent could be an opportunity. I'm going to go out and get myself more listings. There's not enough of them. They'll sell quickly, right? To a buyer's agent, low inventory might be a threat. Who knows, right? But it's your mindset. If you represent a bunch of buyers and there's low inventory, you go, you know what? They don't have much to choose from, so I don't have to show them a bunch of houses. It's definitely an opportunity. It's how you look at it. All right. Now, you know, when I tell people that, they go, oh, so I shouldn't have any threats on my SWOT analysis? No, I didn't say that. You know, there are certain things that are threats. What was the people have said, you know, what was the one lady said? Oh, the pandemic was devastating for people's health and lives, and it was life-changing for people's real estate businesses, right? So some people looked at it as a threat. Some people looked at it as an opportunity. Now, I'm very sensitive to the subject because I had close personal friends die as a result of COVID, okay? I had one lady, super healthy, good friend of mine for many, many years. And, you know, she sailed through most of it and then got COVID. And then they said, oh, you're having a respiratory issue. Not a big deal. I think we can correct it. And she was in the hospital and passed away. Like, it was devastating. And, you know, I know her family, I know her friends, it was devastating. And when I think of that, and there were people closer to me, I don't want to go into it too much, but you all had your success stories and your sad stories from COVID. But if you look at the real estate world in general, as a result of the pandemic, you can only see opportunity there, really. I mean, if you're looking carefully. But I know a lot of people had their worst years ever last year and this year. But it was if you get them to talk about it, you can see that they've determined what those reasons are, and they will deal with those reasons accordingly. So, all right. So the business plan workbook is something to start really looking at. The SWOT analysis, the reason I stopped talking right there was that once you do a SWOT analysis on yourself, you take 4 or 5 or 6 of those blank ones and give them to other people that you know, love, and trust, and say, tell me the truth about me. You give it to them, right? Now, Richie and I have been friends for, I don't know, almost 20 years now, buddy. So if Richie was doing this, right, and he would probably, I know Richie's wife, she's wonderful. He would give her one and say, honey, I want you to be brutally honest, right? And fill out what she sees as Richie's strengths and weaknesses, not what he sees. What he sees is on his paper.
She'd write a book.
So, and you know, what's often surprising is, and I told you guys it happened with me every time, is that a lot of what a person will write as their strengths, people who can see their blind spots will write those same strengths as weaknesses, because they see the other side that you don't see, right? But here's what's interesting. I've had a lot of people say, well, what are they going to do with opportunities and threats, Rick? They don't know about opportunities and threats in the real estate industry. And I say, bull. You want their perspective, whether they're in the industry or not, on what they see as opportunities and threats for you and your business. That's it. Their perspective. Your perspective is clearly written in your SWOT analysis about you. And that's beautiful, because I can remember December of 2018 doing, it was actually the end of November, right before Thanksgiving, kind of finishing up my business plan. And I had all these sheets that I got back, and I had them in paper form, not on my computer, and I had them all laid out on my desk. And the answers were mind-boggling. And I was more attentive to the answers that everybody else gave me about me than I was about myself, because I realized mine were definitely not clearly covering the issues. So yeah, it's kind of fun, and it's kind of scary at the same time, because, you know, you don't want to get like, my number one weakness from my wife was patience. All right. So and you know, that's on my sheet. My number one strength was patience. Doug, did you have something to say, buddy?
No, no, I'm good.
I saw you come off mute there for a minute, so I thought, oh.
Well, I came off mute because I was taking another call from somebody else, so I couldn't, so I missed that last
Oh, no worries.
bit. But then I chime in and you go, patience, my number one weakness. I'm going, hey.
We did talk about that.
Yeah,
yeah.
yeah. So, yeah.
Well, thank you. So guys, the main thing that SWOT thing that I want you to look at besides your strengths and weaknesses, and a lot of people say, oh, I got to work on my weaknesses. And I can tell you that what we've learned, just me being a coach for so long and being coached by so many for so long, is that working on your weaknesses sometimes isn't the best idea. And so sometimes it is. In other words, you can see in the workbook, let me show you, I'll actually show you this kind of, a lot of people don't even notice this page. Look right here. When you get down here to where you're examining look right here where it says weaknesses. What do you think this means? When my wife and I talked in December of 2018 about my 2019 business plan, and we had this realization that Rick was definitely impatient. So we sat down in a meeting, my wife, me, my Cindy, and then my assistant Gina, and Casey, my wife, said, well, what are the reasons that Rick gets impatient? And the other two said this, well, whenever some realtor calls him and asks questions that are clearly already answered in the confidential remarks. Now, remember, I'm going to stop sharing because it says learn and outsource. So remember that, because I want you to remember that. So, and my wife had heard me on the phone. Excuse me, guys, I'm sorry, but I have been known to be impatient, obviously. But my wife had heard me on the phone before where I would hang up the phone. I was impatient on the phone. And then I would look at her and I'd say, excuse my language, but I'd say, dumbass realtor. And I'd walk away angry. Okay. Now, my wife calls that the AA stage. So for those of you who don't know me, AA means angry Arab. Okay, because I'm Lebanese, which is an Arabic nationality. And she calls it the AA stage. And she said, yeah, if we can keep Rick out of the AA stage, he'll always be patient, right? Yesterday, my assistant was on speakerphone with my wife in the morning, and I was starving, and my wife was fasting for a blood test. And we were driving home from an appointment, and I stopped to get gas. I said, could you grab me a bite from in there? I don't care, I'm starving, right? And she was on the phone, and she looked at me and nodded and kept going. And she came back, and I said, she was still on the phone, on speakerphone with my assistant. And I kind of flipped out. I go, where's the food? She goes, oh, I forgot you told me that. And then just dismissed it. I'd been up for hours and hadn't eaten a thing, right? Like a protein bar, anything. Anyway, so my assistant has had lots of opportunities to see me be impatient. That's why my number one weakness for her was patience. All I'm saying about all of this is, do we learn new behaviors to avoid the weakness, or do we outsource it? And the answer is yes. In some cases, you're going to learn. So what did I need to learn? To take a deep breath. Answer the phone, answer the questions without any stories being made up in my head. And I'm so much better now, and I'm still not where I need to be. But it says under weaknesses, it says you're going to learn some, or you can outsource it. So we were trying to do more to get the people to call someone else or text someone else about the questions, not me, when my schedule got a little hectic. Do you get that? So you can take your weakness and decide, is it something I can outsource, or do I need to learn something that will allow that weakness to at least lessen, not go away? But if you're spending too much time on it, you're avoiding the one thing that will build you up more, which is more time on your strengths. That's the one thing. Find out what you're damn good at and do a lot more of it. And that's the one thing I'm not doing enough of, because I'm lost in the quagmire and the the paperwork and the bureaucracy that real estate offers, and not spending enough time doing what? Getting face to face with a buyer and a seller. That's it. If you're not spending more time face to face with buyers and sellers, we're not doing what we're supposed to be doing. So that's something, this business plan has really helped me a lot because it has you examine things enough so that you can look at it and say, is this working for me or not? All right, so I'm going to make sure that that we mention in the email going out for our next call. For a while, we will be doing reminder emails saying, remember, the next call is the third Friday of August, not next week, just so people get more used to it. And then eventually you'll just be getting an email. Yeah, Deb, go ahead.
So the third Friday in August, that's the day after the Dallas conference. You're going to be there, right? Are you guys flying home that morning, or are you flying home Thursday night? So will it be
No,
third Friday?
No. Brent told everybody, well, told a lot of people not to plan on flying home Thursday night because they think Tony Robbins will go way over what he's supposed to. So yeah, I'm not flying out till Friday afternoon or evening. Come back.
Okay. So is it still going to happen Friday morning?
Oh, absolutely, yeah. Because
Okay.
most of the people on this call are from companies. We got, because you got to remember, we have over 800 people who watch the recording of this that are all over the US and Canada, and they're all with
Gotcha.
different companies, and they probably don't even know about that conference. So
Gotcha.
Yeah.
Thank you.
so thank you. Good question, Debbie. And so anybody have some feedback? I see Amanda Pipkins on today. That's just, I'm so excited. I can't even tell you. So anybody else have anything that they want to share with us or ask about, or that can open up that subject of that workbook? I am going to remind you, please, I can't put attachments into that email because Richie, my buddy, taught me that once you start putting attachments, a lot less of them get open. Not so much him, but his company taught me that. So anyway, Javier, go ahead, sir.
Yeah, I just want to make a comment, Rick, what you were talking about, the strengths and the weakness that we have. And I learned with this, like, behavior that it gets rewarded, it gets repeated. So our brain actually, because I'm also impatient, but I'm learning. And I was asking my wife again, she was giving me, this is what you need to do. But my brain was actually fighting with that. So every time that I was impatient, my brain was getting something that I keep doing it and doing it and doing it. But now I'm learning in that not just, feed my brain with that reaction that I have when I get impatient, like getting mad, putting my hands on the table, or, so that's something that I'm working on it. And that's true. So something that it's for me, I need to learn. And question, can I invite team members and my team that they can join this call, or should I wait?
Anybody in the United States and Canada or whoever can get to a Zoom meeting is allowed on this call. They don't have to be in real estate. We prefer people from the industry: mortgage, title, escrow, insurance, inspection, anybody. When you go to rgtresources.com, you click on training, click on Friday coaching calls. It tells you how to get people on the email list. It tells you the link to click on, all of that. So, okay.
Okay, good.
Yeah. I'll put that in the chat, guys, so that you have that. That is a big thing that I want you all to use is okay, it's in the chat there. If you click on it right now in the chat, it'll open up in your computer and then it'll stay there. Then when you come off the Zoom call, you can save that website. That has a lot of great stuff in it for everybody to use, and it's all freebie, okay? Yeah, lots of people are more than welcome to use that. So thank you, Javier, good questions. Okay, does anybody else have anything before we call it a day? All right, happy weekend, guys. It's only a few weeks away from my favorite holiday of the year, Labor Day, because I don't labor over Labor Day holiday. And I would encourage you to start planning to do something fun for you, to give yourself a break, to be nice to you, to give yourself some grace and do something fun over that. Because after that, I'm going to work your butt off for the rest of the year. So take some time off around Labor Day. Oh, what day, Debbie? The 7th, I'm the 4th. That's why I always love Labor Day weekend, because my birthday almost always falls around Labor Day weekend. So. All right. All you guys have a great weekend. I'll see you 2 weeks from today on this call and I will be calling you from my hotel room in Dallas, and I'm pretty excited. So I'll see you all then. Okay. Take care, everybody.
Sounds good. Thank you.
Bye, everybody. Bye-bye.